Hey everyone, JP here from the Biz Dojo. Just want to let you know about Newsly. It's an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about some of the most trending topics, and then it reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time in the history of the internet, the web is listenable. You can browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. So stop scrolling, just start listening. Download Newsly from newsly.me.
This episode is powered by Airdrie DQ Grill and Chill, owned and operated by local entrepreneurs. Check out one of their 3 Airdrie locations today and pick up a blizzard, ice cream cake, or dilly bar. The Biz Dojo is also brought to you by Beyond a Beaten Path. If you're on the lookout for a personalized gift, head to beyondabeatenpath.ca and get started on your custom creation. Beyond a Beaten Path. Personalize it, because everything else is boring.
So, JP, did you ever expect that we would be speaking at album release parties?
To a bunch of Grammy Award winning producers, and no, that was not part of my list of things I expected.
Yeah, I'm going to say out of left field. Well, maybe not out of left field, but certainly
left center.
Out of left center. So for those of you who have been following along with the show, last season we had a very inspiring guest, Marius Bilgo Benson, who is a revered jazz musician in the soft jazz scene, as it were, based in, I've never actually asked. I just assumed Stockholm. I don't know what other cities are in Sweden, but he's in Sweden.
He's in the only city Seth knows in Sweden.
Yes, that's it. So we got to go to his event. It was very interesting seeing Marius live in a studio play some songs. They had a bunch of speakers, including Grammy award-winning composer, producer Paul Brown, and just a really neat event. Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it. There was a lot of great things said about somebody who we got a sliver of a story from. And if you haven't listened to the Marius episode, please do yourself a favor, go back and listen to it. It is quite a story. And like everyone had the same comment about Marius, like the most loving, genuine, joyful person you will ever meet.
Totally. And so it was awesome. And I think what it really speaks to is community. He talks in depth about how his time in the forest with the forest people in the Congo, and again, do yourself a favor and go listen to that story, basically on death's door with malaria and being revived by the forest people without the use of modern medicine. Just crazy stuff. After being robbed and left for dead.
Yeah.
So, put some perspective on things for you. Did for me anyway. But we talk a lot about community and how important it is, and the community that we've been building through the Biz Dojo. And I think, Marius is an example of that. And I think talking with Yoni this week, we got to see how important the role of community is for a tech entrepreneur and on his journey to creating Newsly.
Tech entrepreneur and newcomer, like coming to a new country, even if you have the experience in tech, which I think everyone just immediately believes is completely disassociated from where you are geographically. But when you've built a local community and you have people around you that are also in the tech community, and you can vibe off them and you can, figure things out together, it's a lot easier to move yourself ahead. Being in a new country, trying to get into a new entrepreneur game, figure out the government and the grants and all those sorts of things while you're also navigating English as a second language. Like that's a lot of things on that plate.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the tech is actually the easy part of this whole equation. It's all those things that you just talked about: navigating, being in a new country, collaborating with people, finding investors, communicating, like all those things that, make it super challenging to launch a product in this space. And so it was really cool to see how he's overcome all of that.
I know it's not the same as, uprooting your family and moving across the country on a permanent basis and trying to find yourself. But I will say I did do a trip to Africa for a month, and it was very different. I was quite often the outsider, being a English speaking white Canadian I was often in situations where a lot of the time I was just surprisingly surrounded by Germans. But there was lots of times where, the language around me wasn't the same. The people around me weren't the same. Even when we went to the grocery store, like I just didn't understand half of what the signs said and how much money I needed to give the person at the till. It was so different. And it was very much culture shock. And it opened my eyes to it's not an easy task by any means to step into somewhere so new and so different.
Yeah. And so with that, I think heading into this week's episode, maybe give a thought to a time that you were an outsider and, how'd you navigate that? And maybe if you take that a step further, can you think of a time you were embraced by a community and what that felt like? Welcome to the Biz Dojo with Seth and JP. This week we're joined by Yoni Tzafrir. Welcome to the dojo, Yoni.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So Yoni, you are the CEO and founder of Newsly. Mm-hmm. And for the first time, the internet is now listenable. I wanted to say readable, listenable.
Yeah, listenable. Yeah, readable. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm a step behind. So really excited to dive into your journey and how Newsly came to be. But maybe we'll just start off with introducing yourself and tell us a little bit more about Yoni.
Okay, so yeah, I'm the founder of Newsly and CEO. I'm originally from Israel. Came here to Canada, to Vancouver, Canada, 2 years ago in August 2019. Started, just helping my family and my wife and 4 daughters to integrate here for the first 6 months. And then in January 2020, something very strange happened, which was a world pandemic. And I don't know if you heard about it, but
and might have heard about it in the news or something.
Yeah. It was like very particular. And then while it happened in the first lockdown, I don't know if you remember this lockdown, like everyone was intimidated, touching the railway on your on your balcony or something like that. And in the midst of it, I decided I want to start a company and go to the journey of being entrepreneur for the first time.
You know what's crazy is I was reflecting on this with my son the other day. I remember there was like a little while there where I didn't know if it was okay to go outside for a run.
Yeah. Can we go outside? Can we?
It almost seems bizarre thinking back to that. Anyway, crazy time. So you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Is that how it came to be? Or did the idea of Newsly come first?
The idea of Newsly came first. So I had time to think because but by definition, I told myself, I'm just helping the family here and, the kids get into school, new company, new language, etc. Have a little bit time to think. And then I looked at the technology of that exists today of reading articles or neural text to speech. And I was amazed by the ability. And then I thought to myself, you know what, it could be amazing. I have a half-hour drive now. Why wouldn't just read to me whatever I'm interested about, right? Let's say my interest in life, right, are Bitcoin and the Kardashians. So why wouldn't it just read it to me? And for me, it was a little bit to also get my English better, as you can probably tell, it's not my first language. So, but then I put this idea on the side because, it was not driving me by itself. But And later I talked with a friend, and I told her about it. And the friend, she's dyslexic, and she told me, well, for me, it's like could be amazing. And there's a lot of people like searching for such a solution. And I started a little bit look into it, and I saw that no one does it. No one does exactly what I wanted to have and to be able to give to people. So it came to be. So that was the first moment I decided I want to do it.
Are you the type of person, like I think about stuff all the time and I'm like, that's an amazing idea. And then I either forget to write it down or I write it down, but I never revisit it. Are you the type of person that just like constantly has ideas and then that one came to you and you're like, oh, this is a really good one, and you put it somewhere and parked it? Or was that like, oh, surprise, I have an idea?
Yeah, I do have from time to time ideas, but a lot of time I always try to validate it, with people. Is it just something that I want, or like, does anyone cares, right? And a lot of time I had ideas and I tried to validate it with people, and then told me, you know what? It's a nice idea, or it can be a good feature. And when you get this response, you shouldn't go that path.
That's great, Yoni. Really love it.
Exactly.
That's a great point, because like a lot of good ideas. I mean, I've been known to be something of an idea man myself. And you get down the path and you find out, maybe the market's not as big as you thought it was, or there's actually this other solution, or there's somebody with a patent, or all kinds of things. When did you realize, like, oh, this, not only is there a market, but I could take advantage of it and really make something cool here? Is there like a moment you can remember where that realization hit you?
Yeah, so it's a process. It's not one moment, but I can specify a few moments that were very, important in this process. So I first validated with a lot of people. I interviewed a lot of people, and then got very, very good responses. And like the best response you can get, doesn't it exist already? Or like that's the best response you can get. And then started the company in April 2020. Yeah, just in the midst of the, I guess, first lockdown. And then I actually started working it only on June 2020. Me and one student or 1.5 students during the summer. And at that moment, I was saying, okay, it's a D. Let's play with it a little bit and see if we can get anything. And within a month or two, we had something working that it was not good as
MVP one, yeah,
and not as good as it is now, but it did something that really resembled the concept of how I imagined it. And for me, it was the Eureka moment. Like, wow, I can imagine something in the very small space between inside my head and make it come to realization. So it was a great moment for me. So in that moment, I realized that that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to continue. It's not just a nice project or a nice try playing entrepreneur or something like that.
Being the founder and entrepreneur and CEO of a tech startup, I would imagine can be probably a bit of a lonely place at times. And so I'm just wondering, we talk a lot about community and the role that plays in life. But on this venture in particular, has there been some key people that have, helped keep you sane through the process and been there for you as you've kind of gone through the journey of making it real?
Oh, definitely. So the main person that helped me is my wife, of course. She's actually the Wonder Woman that, she works, she studies, she initiated our move to here, did everything. And I just the small man who followed her. And she's like been my support. Without her, I wouldn't be able to to do it and like give me, endless credit to play with its entrepreneurship stuff. I guess that's one source of support. The other source of support are my daughters, that they support me, and then for me, it's important to see the reaction, like how it reflects to them. So I'm giving them an example how it can be you have your own business, which is something that I didn't have. Like my parents were like hardworking people. They were also like immigrants in their own country, but like growing up in poor families. So like entrepreneurship is not something you do usually. It's like too risky. And just giving them example that it's possible, even if it will fail. That's for me another source. And I guess the loving family of my extended family, which is not close to me, but right now, except actually my mother that just came here after
nice.
years. Yeah. She just came here, and that was now possible. And then we told her, you know what, we haven't seen you for 2 years. Just we bought her a ticket, and she's here like for 3 weeks and seeing her grandchildren and us, and it's wonderful. But like the support I got from my parents, right? So I had my father that passed away more than 4 years ago. Like he was like always there for us, like without question. Yeah, I need help with that. I need help with that. I need help with the kids. It was always there for us. And same as my mother, right? She for her was the most important thing was for me always to be happy. So on top of getting money or like running a nice job, or so I guess that love and support I got from a family helping me with this journey.
And when you were in Israel before you came over, you were in the tech community there, right? Like that you were doing. What was it like to transition from having I'll call it a work community, but what was it like transitioning from being in that space to now kind of being a lonely island and trying to do things on your own? Did you still find support from that community back in Israel? Did you find support here in Canada, or was it kind of a run at it on your own and see who you can bring along for the ride?
Good question. I guess first I'm getting support here. I guess some support from Canada and from Canadian government, just like some support for tech here because they want to encourage you. For Israel, it's always like easier for me to communicate. So like, I'm connected to like groups of techs and even groups of entrepreneurs. So like, and they're one thing I can say about differences, they are more engaged. So I know maybe because it's a smaller community, right? There's like 8-9 million Israelis as opposed to 30 million in Canada or 300 something in North America, right? But so they are more engaged, and I wouldn't go as far as like more willing to help, but like because they are more involved, it's like easier, and of course easier for me to communicate. So yeah, I get a lot of support, like if it's professional, if it's like even entrepreneurial.
Cool to have sort of multiple places to tap into like that. Like I'm just thinking out loud. For JP and I, as we started this podcast, we basically had this very small circle around us of friends and family, and kind of grew this from there. But as I think back to the COVID comment, like our podcast would not exist without COVID, because it sort of set the table for being able to do things virtually and being able to grow a network all across the world, which is like crazy to think about right now. Like we've got to meet people from Germany and I can't even remember, Portugal. Like we've got to meet all these people around the world. And it's just so interesting how this like difficult, crazy dynamics, global situation, but like all the all the interesting and new things that come out of it, like all the opportunity if you're looking for it. And I think like our podcast, Newsly is sort of born out of like, does Newsly exist without COVID?
Oh, good question. So the idea came just before COVID, or when people were starting talking about COVID before it came to North America. So there's like definitely the idea came before that. But my first pitch to investors was started with like some small joke. I don't want to hear news about COVID. I want to hear news about things I care about. Now I don't do this pitch anymore because it sounds like I'm a COVID denier. I'm definitely not. But that's how it started. But did the COVID situation give it momentum to be what it is? Maybe, it's like, right? The road not taken, hard to say, right?
Yeah. So maybe we talk a little bit about Newsly now. Like, what I love about Newsly is, just the intent of it to help people. I love any product or service that starts at a basis of helping people. And particularly with yours, you've got, some really clear examples: visually impaired, dyslexic, ESL. This is actually a tool that can help you get information more easily, which is awesome. But then it's got this other arm to it where it's like, if I'm just a person and I don't want to have to read the news, I can just throw on this app and it's going to read it to me. So it's got that convenience factor to it. When you're pitching to investors now, do you kind of play both those angles a little bit, or like where's your growth strategy headed? Is it more in sort of being the general practitioner of delivering news, or do you want to focus more on like helping the people who maybe have a difficult time accessing information?
Yeah, so actually, we're on the verge of deciding if we want to pitch to investors at all, because we're getting success maybe without an investor, which is always great. But specifically to your question, so there is why I started it, which, for what you mentioned, people with learning disabilities, etc., or even, get improved in specific language. But in practice, we learned that audio listeners don't have a solution of topical content. And for me, this is also a solution, also helping someone to solve a problem. So because, whether the problem could be, being educated, get updated, and even get entertained, right? So it's solving some problem, and we see it. People tell us every day, we love Newsly, like we can't do without the apps. It's like so good to hear it. And
I think people get sick of CBC catering the news to them. Like that's. And not that there's anything wrong with CBC. I think most of our listeners would know I'm a CBC lover, but it's just there's something about just having that custom feed so that you can hear what you want to hear. And when people watch the news, like how much of the actual news on TV or on the radio is interesting?
Right.
For most people, it's probably 5 to 10%. Even SportsCenter, like you watch SportsCenter, you're usually watching it for a specific reason. You're waiting to see like what was the score in the Blue Jays game, and you sit through half an hour of content to get to the 30 seconds of here's the update on the Blue Jays game. So I imagine there's just a ton of people out there who, when they discover Newsly, they're like just amazed at how specific it can get into what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And it would get even more specific. So right now we have a version that we're picking up whatever is trending, on, let's say in Canada or US or whatever, and then like for specific topics. But our next version, I can share it with you right now, just secretly with you and all the listeners, that is going to be, you can get as specific as you want and like for whatever interests you. So that's like going to be super, super exciting. And like you will get like it's a door to infinity, because it's not just the topic.
That's a great tagline. A door to infinity.
Door to infinity.
Yeah, I should write it down.
Newsly, the door to infinity. I love it.
I was so I'm just poking around on your LinkedIn account, and you guys were announced as finalists for Startup Canada's global pitch competition.
Yeah.
And what's that all about? That seems super cool.
Yeah, we're chosen to be in the 50 top of this competition, and we pitch there. And actually, don't know where does it stand right now. I think we should wait for the announcement. Those things are like super cool to do, and like you get some recognition, and sometimes you may win some cash prize or whatever, and it's like really nice. But it's more like, for me, it's my I get to be connected with people like you or other entrepreneurs on those events. And for me, it's like that's the most valuable thing. We even, like, lately we're chosen by beststartup.ca to be on the top of the 15 consumer applications in Canada, which is like,
that's awesome.
Insane. Wow. Again, it's mainly nice that we can stop for a moment, get recognized, but like that's not what's really driving us. What's driving us is really making great products and seeing people really enjoying it.
That resonates, and I think that's totally how JP and I see that. So that's probably why
I was just thinking, like, you can stop for a minute, but like when we got our award for podcasting here, it was like, yay. Wait, no, we got to do more.
Yeah.
It's cool because like I've never really won an award. I guess a couple like personal things at work and stuff, but this was like a team. Someone actually listened to it and thought it was pretty good, and that was cool. But mostly,
what award was it?
We won a couple. We won what are they called?
The Hermes
Creative Award and Ava Digital Creative Award.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I think the most fulfilling part of this whole thing has just been being able to share the stories of guests. Like that's what I love is giving the space for people like yourself to be able to just share a bit about your journey and give some other people best practices and just to sit down and vibe for an hour and meet new people. Like there's that element. And then, every time you get one of those texts or phone calls where it's like, man, I listened to this episode and I did something different after because of it. It could be a little thing. It could be that I read a book. It could be that I'm motivated to go figure out what my next career is. Like just seeing that people can take the information that we share and do something with their lives, man, like I don't care about ever making $1 off this or whether we grow to have 1 million people or we continue to have, a few hundred people. Just being able to kind of make a little ripple in the world with this, that's what it's all about to me.
Yeah, definitely. Inspiring people is inspiring by itself. That's what you're saying. So yeah, I totally agree.
What's the hardest, and just kind of sparked this, but what's the hardest part about being a tech entrepreneur? Because I think a lot of people would have a thought that the tech would be the hardest part, like the actual technology. But is it the technology, or is it the people, or the marrying the two things together? Where do you find the most like friction or challenge in this world?
No, it's definitely not the technology. I mean, although we have great technological challenges, but two things. So first, it's like working with other people. That's the challenge. Working making it feel like one organism. And especially during COVID, it's harder, right? Because we work remotely, and that's a challenge. That's the first part. And then the other part is like all the business stuff around it. That some of it is like exciting, some of it is like can be boring because you just it's like it's just ends to a mean, right? Or you say it like that. But and it does not come with a instruction, like a guidebook. So that's the hard part.
Has there been anything along the way where you were like, oh shit, I didn't sign up for this? Or generally it's been, pretty, you've got all the prereqs, even though there's not a book or a job description, you've got the base skills that you're finding your way.
Yeah, I guess the length of the journey seems like longer than I imagine it. Like I want to be in certain places already.
Is that because the tech is easy? Like, is it because you can easily picture it and easily get the tech portion done, but the hard part is all of the talking to other people, selling it, moving it along?
Exactly.
Is that what makes that so hard?
Exactly. But again, the support that I get like helps me, and the second thing is the amazing team that we have in Newsly, right? Because like that's really the great thing that drives Newsly, because I'm just one person, but we have such a great team that both professionally and that communicate with each other and so well. Really, like it sometimes like feels like one big organism, or I want to like go into cliches and we're one big family, right? We're not family, but we are. I feel like we're friends, and we're like realizing, like making something really, really great happen together.
What would you say? Is there anything that comes to mind that you've learned about yourself as a leader during this whole process?
Yeah, a lot of things. Mainly, I learned that most of the time I wouldn't be the smartest person in the room, and usually I'd be on the bottom of it. And like just realizing it and admitting it to myself really, really helps.
There's that saying: if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm trying to surround myself in usually like such great and smart people, and make usually what it is. And the people love the product for what it is.
When you're thinking back to Yoni in his car, dreaming about someone reading him the news as he drove.
I like that visual. Yeah. It'd be a nice little cartoon. There's Yoni in the car thinking about news. Hey.
So you're Yoni in the car thinking about Newsly, and now you're Yoni, CEO of a team working on it. Did you even if you thought that you would build it, did you ever think that it would turn into a larger team, or was it a surprise the amount of success you've seen?
Oh, definitely a surprise. But there was actually two Yonis in that car. There was the jaded, sardonic Yoni saying, but really, can you do that?
Oh, geez, here's another idea from Yoni.
Yeah, that was the first Yoni. And the second one was, it's possible, and you have the capabilities to drive people to do it. And you have, for me, for example, I'm jack of all trades and master of none, but I actually learned during time that it's actually an advantage, right? Because I know about tech, I know about software, I know how it works, I know about marketing. I a little bit know how to express myself, so like maybe help with investors and things like that. And that's actually a good thing for an entrepreneur. So that was the other Yoni that supported me, and but they're both still here always. So like sitting on my two shoulders, and so.
I think of Fred Flintstone, and every time the two Freds appear on his shoulder, the one wearing
exactly.
the halo, and
Hey, thanks for calling the Biz Dojo. What can we do for you?
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if I could order some coffee, please.
Oh, of course. Were you looking for the Master's Medium Roast or maybe some Dojo Dark Roast?
Oh, yeah, I'll take some of each. Oh, shoot, hold on a sec. Yeah, what can I get for you? So, venti, soy, tazo, chai, latte. Coming right up. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll take a Master's Medium and a Dojo Dark. They're so good. Best coffee I've ever had by a long shot.
Aw, thank you. Well, we'll get that order out to you right away.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Bill, what did I say about being on your phone while working?
I gotta get back to work.
Get back to the register. We got a lineup. We're running out of venti cups.
If you're looking for a great cup of coffee, save your bucks and reach for the star. Biz Dojo brand coffee. We're ethically sourced and Canadian roasted, so you can be sure that it's going to be an incredible taste. Just send an email to coffee@thebizdojo.com and we'll get you started.
Hello, this is Erin Evans from the Erin Evans Podcast, and you are listening to the Biz Dojo.
So I do got this week's question from Mama Seth, brought to you by Beyond a Beaten Path. So we do weekly questions from my mom, Yoni. She's a big supporter of the show, and
I can call my mom and she will answer it.
Mom to mom.
Yeah,
there you go.
You can do it. Battle of moms.
This one is very specific, I think, to Newsly. And I kind of brought this up in our pre-call, but she said, Yoni, given your focus on helping people with visual impairment, dyslexia, etc., is there any opportunities you see that could potentially help hearing impaired or deaf people, and any ideas you might have? So I don't know if that's a suggestion or a question, but I think sparked some interest when she was looking through your site. And I know with my brother being deaf, there's I would say a lack of resources for the deaf community, especially in the tech space. So
yeah, definitely. There's a lot of room for innovation around it, and not enough resources dedicated to it. That's what I see. But if your mom want to go to entrepreneurship with me, we can do it.
she is actually an entrepreneur
really?
As well. So yeah, she a few years ago started a company called Beyond a Beaten Path, which is they do custom artwork and some really cool stuff, actually. So she's already in the entrepreneurship space. So maybe you guys could meld your brains together and come up with the next big thing to support the hearing impaired community.
I'll check it out. Definitely. Yeah.
Hey, awesome. So what do you see on the horizon for Newsly, I guess? So you guys are launched. You've got this infinity door coming. Mm-hmm. I like that, the infinity door.
Yeah.
Where do you want to take this ultimately?
Right now, we're just focusing on getting the words to as many people as possible, and we actually don't know. So of course, we know we have down the roadmap, all things we're working on the web offers right now, but like looking at the bigger picture, we don't know what it's going to be. Like it's going to be just this, cool, nice, your personal podcaster in your pocket, or it's going to turn into a bigger thing that also connects people, or like we don't know. It's like we're hoping it will get a life of its own. So that's the best thing we can hope for.
So you'd say you have like an open mind to where this whole thing, like you're not so fixated on, we got to get to 10 million subscribers and be here in 6 months. You're kind of just going with it a little bit.
Yeah. This, of course, growth is always good, but that's and it's part of it, right? You're doing something and you want people to be able to enjoy it. But that's never the goal. Like, whatever it will take us, we'll go there. And we're seeing it. Like a lot of the things and the feature we have like came from users saying, okay, that would be great if I could do that. That would solve me that problem, or that would solve me that problem. There's a lot of people waiting for that solution. So
is that a common mistake you think I'm just thinking entrepreneurship in general. I love how you keep going back to what problem are we solving? And you could have a new problem to solve tomorrow, and being open to it versus I have this great tech, you should want this and use this because it's great. You're like, hey, I can help you solve this problem. And I dig it. I feel like that's the way to approach it.
Yeah, I actually feel there's like different ways to approach it. Yeah. Sometimes it can come from the tech side saying, okay, if this new and amazing technology, let's see what it can do, right? This is one approach. And the other approach, I have this idea that let's find the technology that can do it, or it's like carbs diet versus fat diet. Yeah, they both work, but the result will be the same, I guess. So.
Well, every time I think about like advancement in tech too, I always think about the refrigerators. Who was asking for their refrigerator to have a computer on the front of it that would tell them what groceries they needed to order?
Nobody.
Nobody was asking for that.
Yeah.
And now it's just a standard feature when you get a refrigerator. There's a water dispenser and an ice dispenser and a computer on the front and a see-through. Like, it's amazing to think about just an ice box turning into this crazy technological marvel that sits in your.
Is it a startup thing? I should get myself such a thing. So. We don't have it.
But even if you take that further back, like, who was asking for a refrigerator? Nobody was asking for a refrigerator. They wanted to keep their food cold, and then someone invented the refrigerator.
But the one who invented making the ice cream was the really innovative person, right? Like,
I think that's like that whole train of thought, though, is, a lot of times customers don't really know what they want until it's in front of them, right? Like, if you just, to your point, if you just ask customers what they want and go build it, you end up with the Homer Simpson car, all these features that everybody thinks that they want, and it doesn't come together well. Versus if you see a problem and you can apply your technology or your unique offer to, like, anyway, that's totally just thinking out loud there, but now I just am thinking about the Homer Simpson car, to be honest.
I figured that would happen as soon as you mentioned Homer Simpson car. You were trying to think of all of the things that he had: the coffee maker and the waffle iron and the TV. But yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it, right? Like, there's some problems in there that people are trying to solve, but they're trying to solve it the wrong way because they're only looking at one element. They're only looking at user experience. They're not thinking about, like what you were talking about, Yoni, like moving ahead and considering all of the technology that's coming, all of the changes you could make. How can you impact different communities, like, people who might have dyslexia or other learning disabilities? You have to take all that into account when you build something, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it's worth
That's the job of the CEO. Yeah. Really, really hard hitting question for you, Yoni. I think we got a couple more. We were having a bit of banter on LinkedIn about the greatest rap album of all time.
Yeah.
And you were pretty passionate that there is just one. So why is Dr. Dre 2001 the best rap album of all time?
This, I know, I guess when you asked that question, it was after I saw did you see the Defiant Ones?
Yes, with on HBO.
Yeah, now it's, I think, on Netflix. I thought.
Oh, is it on Netflix? Yeah. Okay, maybe that's right. Yeah. With him and what's Jimmy Iovine?
Yeah, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. Yeah, I guess it was after I saw it, so I couldn't give any answers, but it can change every day. Yeah, you can find that's it's funny, right? You can find inspiration in anything, right? It can be, it can be a tech entrepreneur. It can be other tech entrepreneurs. It can be an artist, right? Like, because like artist work is a little bit what you're trying to do, right? The ultimate product, right? And then art is like something that's spiritual or not substantial, and you're creating something that everyone wants, right? Like, Stevie, the songs in the key of life, right? He created the perfect artwork, right? Nothing's better than that, right? So
Well, and I think the inspiring thing while we're vibing on Dr. Dre is he did it in more than one arena, right? Like he did it as a solo artist, he did it as the producer of other artists, he did it as a businessman with Aftermath Records and then Beats. Like it's pretty unreal what he's accomplished, not and just like across all industry.
Yeah. I think that's part of it, right? So whatever you approach, but I think whatever you approach to like openly and candidly, like from the heart, and just do something really, really amazing that, inspire him first, and then, people want that to follow. So.
Well, and I think like what we've been talking about, in each of those cases, he saw a problem that he wanted to solve. He wanted to figure out a way to solve that particular problem. Like I'm thinking specifically of the Beats by Dre, like the noise cancellation, the getting the right sound quality, hitting the right frequencies at that distance from your ear. Like that was all part of his consideration and what he talked about constantly as he started forming the business. And same thing when he went into production. He wanted to make sure that people got the right sound, that he was fulfilling a part of the market. Like
we're going to turn into a Dr. Dre commercial. I'm wearing my Beats right now, and I have 2 pairs of Beats headphones, and they've lasted years.
Beats.com. You can order yourself
honestly though, like even like the flimsy little one, like the Apple ones that you get with your phone or whatever. I have a pair of Beats, and they were more expensive, but I think they'll last for my entire life.
Yeah, and even when he started, like as a young musician, I don't think he like thought of, I have a problem of noise cancellation, I want to solve it, but he just wanted to hear the best beat, right? And just work it and chip it off until it's like to perfection. So.
And then take that perfection and make billions of dollars off of it.
Yeah.
We're just a few steps away from that right now, Seth.
Just a few.
Just a few more listeners to your podcast and everything will change.
That's all right. Everybody watch out. The Biz Dojo Newsly, we're on the come up.
Yeah.
You can listen to us on your Beats by Dre. Order them at beats.com.
Awesome. Yoni, what are you doing to feed your mind? What are you got any suggestions, books or pods, and anything that you're working on from a personal development standpoint right now?
So first, there's a great podcast I can recommend called the Biz Dojo. I recommend it for all the listeners. I said it's a joke, but for me, listen to it. Like I started as a fan, and now I'm a guest. It's great. I found a lot of inspiration in a lot of the episodes. What else? I tell you the truth, I used to read a lot. Nowadays, not that much. If I have a little bit of spare time, I just try to, go out to be with a friend, and then there's some like get a little bit out of my world, and then I just listen to other people, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's other people has their own problems, and we're not alone. And
one of the things you mentioned earlier was that how important your daughter is to you, and I'm a dad as well, and I tend to think that you can get inspiration from anywhere if you're open to it. And recently, my daughter taught herself how to swim, and she's only 4. Well, today's her birthday, so she turned 5 today. But over the last month, she, without a swimming lesson, just figured it out. Wow. And I was so damn inspired.
Yeah.
That I was like, you know what? I got to go do something. So I started doing this exercise thing and pushing myself and learning new stuff. But just wondering, has your daughter inspired you to lately on anything?
Yeah. So actually, there is some crazy story that when I started my business, my oldest daughter, she was like even not like 12 there or like less than 30. She started uploading YouTube videos.
Okay.
And the YouTube videos about her playing with some game called I think Roblox or some
Roblox. Yeah. My son plays that.
Yeah, one of the inner games there, and just she just narrated it with her own voice, which was like English was a second language just for a few months, and and in a few weeks it got to like some of her videos got to millions of views.
Wow,
crazy.
And yeah, I think she has like I don't know, she got like to 20K subscribers, something like that. And at some point, like within a month or two, she started like it became like a passive income. It came to $100 a day or something like that. And
Jeez.
and I said, yeah, what? And while I was spending money on my business, which was doing nothing, she was creating her own business, and which was like mind blowing, like super inspiring. And then after like 2-3 months, she says, "I don't want to do it anymore."
just drop the mic. I'm out.
Yeah, it doesn't interest me anymore. And at first I thought, it's going to drop that nice passive income. It probably would have like grown more. But then I thought, whatever makes her happy. And then she just stopped.
There's a beauty to that though, isn't there? Like everything ends at some point.
Yeah.
And to have like I don't know, I think that's beautiful. Like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. That's what I wanted to do. I'm moving on to my next thing. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. She's like, it's more inspiring than Dr. Dre. Yeah. Like, I finished my solo album, I'm produce the next challenge, right? Produce Eminem and creating my headphones tech company.
Well, the Biz Dojo is looking for a social media coordinator.
We are.
Sounds like she might be a good fit because that's quite the following.
I have to admit it crossed my mind as well for Newsly. But first, I feel there's some exploitation there. but mainly it won't work because it doesn't work like that. Like she did something that interests her. You cannot create just tell someone, do it viral for me. It doesn't work. It just it's something she was really passionate about, like that game, and did it really, really good and from the heart. And like millions of people started watching it on YouTube. So
that's the magic, I think, is having passion for something, and then it doesn't even just to sort of build on that. Even from like who we work with, who we connect with, who we have on the show. I mean, there's all kinds of ways we could just bring in random people with whatever, but like we want to work with and collaborate with people who are excited about what they do and then excited about what we do. And like you build rapport with each other and it's exciting. Like that's how we want to approach it. And like, if this is ever I shouldn't say ever for 5 minutes, but if this is ever like not fun and feels like a job, I don't want to do it. Like there's way too much fun and life's way too short. And if you can tap into that passion, man, everything is just better.
Yeah. That's the secret key, right? If you combine things that you're both good at and passionate about, then you're good. I mean, like most of people, either they sometimes they do something they're good about, but they don't really like it. And they're a little bit trapped. And sometimes they do something that they're really passionate about, but they're really
not very good at
it. and if you're able to combine those two, that's golden nugget, right?
It's the meaning of life, right? I don't know.
Yes,
You're getting close. You're in the realm.
Yeah.
The realm of life.
Thumbs up to 42.
Awesome. So last question, Yoni, where can people learn more about Newsly? Just
download the app. Go to newsly.me. Go online to newsly.me. There's a link there to the App Store and to the Play Store. Download it, try it, and hopefully you love it.
Awesome. I love it. You're going to love it. JP loves it. We all love it. It's a great app. So go check it out. And thanks for joining us today, Yoni.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me and thank you for having me.
Hey, JP, what do creating space, deep listening, compassionate feedback, and inner wisdom have in common?
I know this one. All elements of a great coach.
Bingo. And do you know where you can get those things?
Well, in the Biz Dojo.
Double bingo. And how can you go about doing that?
It's easy. Just send an email to coaching@thebizdojo.com and we'll set up a free discovery session to figure out if coaching is right for you and figure out if we're the right coaches.
And what was that email again?
Coaching@thebizdojo.com.